which will help you with understanding of the period and costumes and the research. So the deadline for that is November 1st. And all the questions that you need to answer in the paper are listed. So guys, did you see the guidelines for the paper? Yeah, some of you didn't. Well, this is just a reminder that it's in your email from the last week, I think Friday. Look at that and at your own convenience, log into the Globe Theater with a link and watch the Romeo and Juliet. Okay, so that's the one. And Alisa, do you want to share your presentation?
Can everyone see it?
Yeah.
Let me present it really quickly. Okay. I'm going to start now. For my presentation, I decided to research and present on Mariko Mori. Mariko Mori was born on February 21st, 1967 in Tokyo, Japan. Her father was a very successful inventor as well as a technician. Her mother was an art historian who specialized in the field of European art. Mariko was exposed to the world of art and creativity at a young age. Mariko first studied at the Bunka Fashion College in Tokyo. While studying there, she also earned extra cash working as a fashion model. This experience helped her gain insight in the world of fashion. She then went on to study at the Chelsea College of Art and Design in London. Afterwards, she attended the Whitney Museum of Art's Independent Study Program in New York. Throughout Mariko's career, she has received various awards, one being the Menzione d'Onore at the 47th Venice Biennale in 1997 for her piece Nirvana, as shown above. She also won the 8th annual award as a promising artist and scholar in the field of contemporary Japanese art in 2001 from the Japan Cultural Arts Foundation. Her work has made her one of the most renowned artists to ever come out of Asia. Mariko's style is captured through video, photography, works on paper, sound, sculpture, and large-scale installations. She uses futuristic images and photo editing as well. Her goal is to combine art and science while exploring themes of individual spirituality, technology, feminism, and sexuality. Her interactive installation of Wave UFO gained lots of recognition in 2003 because of its large-scale size. After this initial success, Wave UFO attracted much attention wherever it went, giving Mariko inspiration for future pieces. Mariko struggled with her own identity growing up, as her family was very successful within their own fields of study. She also struggled with the reality of growing up as a woman in the East. In an interview with New York Times, Mori says the belief in individualism wasn't there to support her dreams or her vision, as she recalls being in an environment where the desire for freedom was very overwhelming. In an interview done by Studio International written in 2013, Mariko talks about how she learned a lot about Zen Buddhism through her practice of the tea ceremony or purification of mind to inspire her work. She is also inspired by Ikebana, or flower arrangements, and Kodo, the way of incest, as well as other traditional Japanese arts. Mariko's creations are inspired by technology, feminism, sexuality, and spirituality. She also wants to bring awareness to the life force inherent in human beings and nature. This life force is born, dies, and then regenerates in a never-ending cycle. One of Mariko's first pieces, Play With Me, shows her standing outside a Tokyo toy store, dressed as a cyborg. She has light blue hair in ponytails, a metallic plastic top, gloves, and a dress. Despite being dressed similarly to the toys sold inside the store, she is being ignored by the people to her right. Subway is another piece where Mariko stands in a Tokyo subway car dressed as if she just landed from outer space. She is wearing a silver metallic costume with a headset, microphone, and push buttons on her forearm. In Empty Dream, Mariko photoshops herself in a blue plastic mermaid costume in several locations on this beach. This piece shows the rise of technology as well as philosophy. Oneness is a sculpture of 6 alien figures linking hands in a circle. When someone hugs the interactive figure, the alien's eyes light up and their hearts start beating. When all 6 figures are hugged at once, the base lights up as well. This piece is an allegory of connectedness, a symbol of the acceptance of others, and a model for overcoming national and cultural borders. Her most recent collection, Rebirth, is about the beginning and ending life cycle of a star. With a combination of photography, structures, and imagery, Mariko's work contrasts the normally aesthetic languages from traditional tea ceremonies. This piece is a combination of cyberculture, Shintoism, Buddhism, science, and technology. While researching the Rebirth collection, I found the primal memory piece to be the most interesting. It is a scattering of ceramic stones based on the ritual pattern of stones and rocks found in Japan. It is so simple, yet you can see how much thought and creativity was put into it as well. In 2013, she collaborated on the production of Madama Butterfly at the Teatro La Fenice Theater for Vienna's Biennale, the most prestigious cultural institute in the world. Mariko brought her own idea to this production by including ideas of the circulation of life, death, and rebirth. Using her unique vision, she imagined that when the protagonist dies, they're reborn as a butterfly. She wanted to aim at sharing a consciousness of oneness. Mariko Mori is currently married to composer Ken Ikeda, who composes music and sound for many of her pieces. She is also currently dividing her time between the United Kingdom, New York, and Japan. My aha moment came as I was seeing all of Mariko Mori's work. We can see in these 2 pictures how much the technology in between these 2 time periods has changed and allowed her work to become even better than it was before. Her pieces not only showed her own vision of the advancement of technology, but also evolved with it as well. I chose to present on Mariko Mori based on this picture displayed above. I was looking through the website to see which artist I wanted to present on and was very intrigued by this picture. It stuck out to me because I honestly have never seen anything like this before on a theater stage. Whoever thought of it and created this beautiful piece must have been really creative, unique, and special. And that's all.
Thank you, Lisa. So responses, please. Anybody?
You obviously rehearsed a lot, and I think that like makes it look a lot better. Like it's easier to listen to it, to you talk and listen to you present when you obviously know what you're talking about, and it's not like you stumbling through words or anything. Like, so I think like it's very evident that you rehearsed it and that you knew what you were talking about, and that you actually like put a lot of thought into this. So I appreciated that.
Thank you.
What do you guys think was unique about the artist that Alisa chose? Or I'd say different than what we had so far. Anyone? Did you guys notice that she has a different background? So far, we had designers that actually attended the school that was focusing on their discipline in the theater. And she's the visual artist. So that is to say, you don't need to attend only the theater school, but you can come from the arts background, artistic background. And especially in her case, she was doing the installations as well as costumes as a part of the whole vision that she has, which actually stylistically was then used in the actual production. So sometimes you have a visionary visual artist that become sets costume designers usually. And this is a great example. Also, the ideas can come from the installation, looking at the artworks, the ideas for the theater design. So that's why I was happy when Lisa proposed Mariko Mori to talk about her work. So I hope you enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done and with great insights and visuals, as well as
Okay, you watching that?
Benjamin, are you talking to us?
Oh, sorry.
You want to say something about the presentation? Or it was just like an accidental sound interruption?
It was accidental.
So you don't want to say anything about Elisa's presentation? Oh, come on. Okay, so Taylor, would you like to take a stage, please?
Yes. Okay, so I decided to do my Pechacucha on Rufus Did Was This. Okay, so Rufus Did Was This is a set designer born in 1967 in Cologne, Germany, but he grew up in Berlin and Stuttgart, Germany. He studied set and costume design at the Academy for Fine Arts in Stuttgart. For some reason, this slide isn't loading, but this is a picture of the Sydney Theatre Company and the Royal Opera Stockholm, because he has designed for tons of theatre companies, including them, and then he also designed for the Salzburg Festival and Edinburgh Festival.
Taylor, here's like my suggestion. If you want to email me your slides,
Okay.
so we can try to do that presentation later or move it to the next class.
Okay.
How do you feel about it? So that
Yeah.
you're not really fighting with whether you have an image or not.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Let's say email me and then we'll set it up so you'll be the first to present next class.
Okay.
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 Good.
Sorry about that.
No, it's not your fault. It's just technology that we're dealing with, and I don't want you to present with a less effectiveness that you would otherwise, because you're dealing with something that's out of your like responsibility, really.
Thank you.
So on the topic of the presentations, guys, these if you did not submit your designer and the date, please do that, because we have until 11:23 time to finish all the presentations. I think so far all the presentations were really successful, and those that did not do it yet, there is a pretty clear idea on what is expected. Okay, if you have any other issues with that, please contact me via email. Okay. For the next portion of the class, I would like to have a discussion about a play, She Kills Monsters. And I expect each of you guys to give a really brief response to the question, what is, your first impression about the text, and what was the most favorite part of the text or the play, and share with us. In case that you did not read it, please explain why. Okay, so I'm going to start with like everybody that's on the here, even though if you're not visible via camera, you can participate with your audio. So Daniela, can you start with just your first impressions of the play, and what is your favorite part of the text?
So when I first started reading the play, like I noticed right away like the words they would use, like they would just say everything, like they would say like bad words, and like just everything was like no filter. And I mean, I kind of liked that because it was like made it seem even more modern. So that was really interesting. And then the play itself, I really liked how it had like a fantasy part of it, and then the real like the opposite of like the real world as well. It was really interesting. And then like even though there was like two worlds, like it was like easy to understand it, like both sides.
Great. So who wants to connect? Okay, Elisa.
I think after I was reading it, I kind of like compared it to like Bridge to Terabithia, that one movie, because I mean, they're different storylines, but they're kind of similar in a sense. But yeah, I liked how distinguishable like the two worlds were. But yeah, I totally like thought it was like Bridge to Terabithia. I think like my favorite part was when like at the end, like um Angus gets to meet like all of her sister's friends, and then you can kind of compare like the characters in the world to like her friends. I thought that was really cute.
Great. Yeah, when I was seeing the production, I was crying at the very end. I was like, oh. So in any case, who wants to continue with this? Hi, Taylor.
Yeah, so at first I was kind of like, oh, like I have to read this, like I probably won't enjoy it that much. And then like 10, 15 pages in, I was like, okay, this is like really interesting. Like I don't know what this is, but like I like couldn't stop reading it. And then by the end, when I realized, like it took me a while to realize that like the fantasy world and the real world connected, and that she was using like her real friends in the fantasy world, and that they were like they had any ability that she wanted them to have, and they weren't like the geeks that people bullied in high school. I was like, oh my gosh, like that's such a cool idea, and like I really thought that was really cool.
Awesome. Who wants to go next? Hi, Jess.
So I kind of had the same idea as Taylor, is like, oh, I have to read this, whatever. Like, I was thinking it was going to be kind of like a Hamlet situation where it was a little bit hard to follow with the words and the way that they spoke. But then I got to the prologue. I hadn't even begun reading it yet, and it got to the part where obviously they killed Tilly. So I was like, what the heck? What am I reading? I'm like so confused. And then I think that it was just, I don't know that I would have a favorite part, because I mean, I feel like I liked all of the parts of it, but I just like was curious as to how they, like I was looking at all the notes of like, oh, in this scene, this is how you'd show it, and this is how you'd make this scene come alive. But it's hard for me to imagine like how they would do that. Like when they said puppet, like the scene would be shown with shadows or puppets of Tilly getting hit by a car. And I was just really confused as to how they made that work, because I'm assuming that you've seen the play then, right? Like how did that like translate really well, or am I just crazy?
To answer the question with the shadow puppets, it works really well. And it was set up like with just a white screen with the puppets in the back and lit from the back, and you can see the shadows moving, and you can see the car crash, and like her and her sister just like, you know, like getting out the car. I mean, just like exploding in a way. So it looked really great. But you see any of these like special effects, as well as the monsters that show up, like a dragon, or the beholder, or the gelatinous cube. All of these special effects slash props could be done differently. I mean, this is something that's suggestion, and it's kind of neat because it comes from the Asian theater, and you know, the playwright is Vietnamese, so the shadow puppets are both popular in China and in Vietnam. So that's where, you know, suggestions come from. But as an author, as a designer and director, you can come up with your own solution as well. I mean, you can say do a video of that, of the crash scene, and project it. I mean, just like from the top of my head. But one thing that you brought up that was important is the stage directions or explanations, what the space looks like, the costumes as well. Taylor, I think, was talking about the costumes and change of characters. In that sense, it's an interesting production-wise when you think about how many actors do you have. And the production that I've seen, most of the actors actually changed 3 times through the course of the play, playing the real character, then playing one of the imaginary characters from like fantasy from D&D, and playing the evil counterpart of that. So it's kind of interesting challenge if you're putting it into the real production. Very good. So who wants to continue with the first impressions and the favorite part of the text?
I can go next.
Haley?
Yeah, kind of adding on to what Jess was saying about like the lights and stuff. I actually worked the light board last show when we did this show last semester.
Oh, you did? Cool.
So it was nice to revisit it. And I really enjoy the language of the show because it's a lot easier to follow. And it has humor that today we find it's easy to understand the humor nowadays.
Very good. So share with us a little bit like your impressions about the production that was done at U of R.
I really enjoyed the staging and how they did the lights. I mean, I somewhat designed the lights a little bit with Curtis, but the staging was it was in a black box, and there was 2 sides with the audience. The projections, like Jess was talking about, were done through a sheet, and we had little shadow puppets up, and we'd turn on a light and just move the shadow puppets. There's the scene at the end where they're fighting the dragon, and we just had there were props designed, just dragon heads that the actors would like move around and pretend to be dragons, instead of having like a giant dragon prop. I guess it was just the heads and the actors with the dragons. The set was leveled, so there were a lot of levels to play with, or not leveled, but like different stages, like
so different platforms on different levels.
Overall, I really liked it. The theater program does a really good job with their shows.
There were the trapdoor too. Did you remember that?
Yeah, the trapdoor was how we had the slime. It was just like a wire frame that we threw a sheet over, and we'd put a green light on it, and we'd just shake it a little bit to make it look like slime. Um, and we had like someone get eaten, and we'd throw the bones out to show they were eaten. The production's a funny show. It'd be a good show to watch in person if you ever get the chance, or find a recording of. I'm sure there's recordings.
So you hit some great points here. Like it's a funny show, so it's a dark comedy. So that's something that we need to think about how to convey in terms of the colors and the moods with the design. What is it we are doing so that it makes sense? And it was some portions were really funny. And as I said at the end, I was crying because there was like a resolution to it. So in any case, what Haley was just talking about, treat that as your research, because she's giving you some information on the production that was done before, and that's part of the research. So those that have sent me the digital journals with the visual or the images from the previous productions, thank you very much, because this is what is expectation, to have the images from previous production. Differently than what people might think, that you want to be creative and you don't want to have any influences from anybody, and you don't want to know what's going on because you don't want to repeat the design or the history in theater is very important. It's like a key factor to the design, to do the research on many levels, as we did with Hamlet, and I expect to have even more. So part of that research is also doing the interviews, what we just did with Haley. If you have more questions for her, please address them. But also to look in the previous productions and the biography and so forth, so of the author. Okay, so let's move on. Who wants to share the next? Yes, Isabella? Can you be louder? I'm afraid I don't hear you. I don't know, guys, if you hear.
Yeah, sorry. I thought Francesca was going. So I did research on this like production before I started reading it, and I saw that most of the productions were put on by high schools and colleges, and I don't know why that swayed me to think that it was going to be really bad, because most of the productions that I saw in high school I was in, and I know they were bad. Um, so that's kind of like what I got from it. But reading it, I thought it was really interesting, and I thought that it was really relevant to like kind of like high school life and like what we go through. And I really liked that there was like really strong parallels between the characters that took place in Tilly's life and like in the actual like fantasy world. And I thought that that was something really cool to see. So
Very good. On that topic, guys, initially I gave you a link to the text, and a couple of you told me that that link is not working. Then I gave you another link, which is the edition, like She Kills Monsters Young Adventures edition, which is less, it uses less cussing and harsh words. Okay, so in that sense, that's probably more appropriate for the high school or junior college level. So I thought that this would work equally, so that you know what's the difference. By the way, did you guys, doing research, did you find out that there is a She Kills Monsters virtual realms edition, or actually version? Yeah, I thought that that's really going, I mean, with the times, and it's really great idea by the author to do that. So let's move on. Who wants to share the next?
I can go.
Francesca?
Yes.
When I started reading it, I right away realized that it was the production from Redlands because I did go see that one. And so it was cool to read the script and like relive it. And so I liked when Agnes finally started to open up and play the game and actually learn about her sister and all of her friends and the world that she lived in. And I also like the end when she actually meets all of Tilly's friends and realizes who they were and what characters they played in the game. And she like learns that she has to get to know people. She can judge them right away because she learned while playing the game that like all of these kids have been judged their whole lives and this is the one place they can go to get away from it. And I really like that.
Can you share just few impressions of the production that you've seen?
I noticed that the production was like really inclusive. Like it was definitely all years. Like it was freshmen and seniors all together, and so that was really nice. And I liked the like comedy parts. The way Haley said that when someone would get eaten and they'd throw the bones out, that was funny. It was unexpected, and so that was a really nice touch. And I think the Redlands Theater group did a really good job. It was a really good play.
It was great play, plus considering that all the main designers and director were students, including students. I thought that was just quite lovely. How well it was done. Okay, thank you, Francesca. That was really good insight. And then who wants to go next? We have.
I can go next.
Okay.
So yeah, I did research before because I didn't really know anything about the play or anything. Cause I don't really like read plays or anything like that. But like the thing that caught my eye was like I saw like a picture of like the front title of like the dragons and her like standing in front of them, and that kind of caught my eye just because like it looked cool from my perspective, and then reading it kind of gave me like the Lord of the Rings vibe. So like it kind of like, cause I like Lord of the Rings, so I kind of like saw how like it can resonate with Lord of the Rings, so I took that. And then I liked how I know like the LGBTQ thing is like really important and like really high right now in like society, and I liked how they attacked that on in the play and used that in the play and for like a lot of the characters. So I really liked that.
That's wonderful, Benjamin. Okay, thank you for sharing. Who wants to go next?
I can go next.
Okay. Hi, Clyde.
Hi. When I read this play, I really liked the whole storyline. I felt like I was reading more of like a fairy tale story rather than a play, which I really liked because it included all these fantasy characters and, and these younger characters rather than these older serious characters, which I really liked. And yeah, it was really fun to read and really nice. And my favorite part was in the beginning when Agnes first meets all the Dungeons and Dragon characters, and they're like, "Oh, what kind of creature is she? Like, can we eat her?" And I just thought it was really funny.
Awesome. Clive, do you know D&D, the game? I mean, that's the question for the rest of the class too. Are you familiar? Did you play it ever?
I've never played it. I know games can go on for like 4 hours, something crazy like that. But yeah, I know a little bit about it.
Okay, anybody else? Anybody else is gamer in this group?
I play with some friends.
Okay.
Oh, Chantal, you haven't talked. You go.
Okay, who wants to go?
Okay. I'll just say my experience and then I'll include that in. I researched it a little bit before I started reading, and then upon finding out that it was centered around D&D, I was excited because I'm barely on my first campaign of Dungeons and Dragons, but it's really fun. So I felt like I was going to be really interested in it, and I was like, it was really comedic, and I really loved that about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Chantal. And I think, Laurel, can you share your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm kind of like that person who like won't like read it beforehand. Like I'll just kind of walk into the unknown. So I just kind of like just started reading it and I like thoroughly enjoyed it because like I like how it has like the real world, but it also has like the fantasy world and that just, and I'm such like a visual person that it really just like kind of like brought my imagination like to life. So I like thoroughly enjoyed it. I wish we could use it. I wish we could use it like for our paper or something. 'Cause, like, I just enjoyed it a lot. Like it was really good.
Well, you can express your ideas through to your concept and visuals that you're going to share. I think, especially with your training in arts, it would be wonderful if you can do that and have a twist of whatever that you think that you would like to see. So I think everybody expressed their opinion. I was just wondering now, how much do we know about the playwright, the author, and how what we know about him relates to the play?
I don't
So
remember a whole bunch, but I believe the playwright went through. Sorry, my microphone's quiet. I believe the playwright went through a similar situation to Tilly and the main character.
yes, that is the case. Okay, anything else, you guys, that you find in common with the playwright and the play that he did?
I read his book Viet Gone senior year of high school, and it was probably like one of my favorite books because it was really modern and funny, and there's a lot of like really cool visuals that came in the book. Like there were more pictures than words probably in that book, and it was really funny and I just really enjoyed it. So when I found out he wrote this playwright, it like made a lot of sense to me because I enjoyed the play as well.
Did you guys see that he created geek theater, so-called actually vampire theater, where he is producing and writing like since 2009 or something, or even a year earlier. This is the only theater company in New York that was actually financed and supported by New York Comic Con. So this whole culture of being a geek and what does that mean is really his personal story, and he knows it really well. Also LGBTQ community. So he's plus this experience of accident and just like dealing with the death and grief. So the strongest plays or are done from your personal experience. So I think this is why it has so much power, but it's also created for the younger audiences, which is obvious, right? So any other thoughts on the playwright and his connection? Perhaps why he would write this play? If you guys don't have that, please do a little bit more research to find out who he is, and find interviews to give you the insights on his life story and how this relates to the whole the whole production. So let's talk about the location and the year. So what year is this written about? Like what is the year and what is the location that is mentioned in the play?
1995 in Athens, Ohio.
Okay. Do you guys know how old is the game of D&D? When did it start it first? See, do some research on D&D. I mean, I know we have like connection to the pop culture, and we find some similarities with other fantasy stories. But the reason why I'm saying this is that the first version was done in 1974 and then 76. So if you think about the ideas, and if you want to transfer it to a little bit different time period, there is a possibility because of the existence of the D&D. Okay, but this is related to your concept. Okay, so remember how when we did Hamlet, how there were different perspectives on the Hamlet, or the period when, or which period you would present. Is it from the play or not? So there are lots of specificity in the play that are related to the pop culture of 1990s. Okay, but keeping that in mind, should you wish so to change it into a little bit earlier period, like 80s, that is still okay. Does that make sense? That is up to you to choose. It's not necessarily what you have to do, but like early 80s, that they might be interesting, like visually, as a silhouette, as a color. It's up to you. Okay. If you want to go towards science fiction, think about it, how that would fit into this like future of sorts. This type of, what kind of game is that? Because it's very specific, right, to D&D. Okay. Let's talk about a little bit about the style or design style. If you guys recollect the last class. So what kind of design style you think would be appropriate for this type of production? Is it realism? Is it one of these like postmodernism, expressionism, surrealism, symbolism? What do you guys think visually, how you could present it?
I would present it in a surrealist way, I think, just because of like that it's mostly based in the fantasy kind of like genre, I guess.
Absolutely, that's my feel about it too. Okay, especially since we're having so many bedroom scenes, right? As a location, and it could be just a dream. So I want you to think about it. If it is surrealism, how that would be depicted, because obviously we have two worlds. We have a real world, and then we have surreal or dreamlike or fantasy world. You can think about possibility to change it to maybe in the fantasy world to go towards expressionism or something that's like a tweaked shapes, and something that's not real at all, but just so that you enhance this feeling of the change of the space and time and reality. Or with symbolism. But think about it for yourself and relate to your concept. The strongest feeling, as what Lauren expressed, and for me, is like surrealism, because that gives you the whole range. But if you come up with a different concept and support it, that will be super, and the extra credit. Okay. So also, let's discuss a little bit about the staging. Like, what kind of space do you see? Haley mentioned the production was done in the black box. Okay, so what do you guys think? Black box, site-specific, proscenium stage, arena, trust theater. Which one do you think would work in your mind for this production? And why?
Can I talk, or would you prefer, since I know? Okay. Even though I saw it in a black box, I think I'd like it more of an interactive show, kind of, just because it brings a lot of like language and stuff that the audience understands nowadays. So I feel like having it to where it's up close and personal, like you're 6 feet from the actor, would be really cool.
Okay, that's how it is done, but it was also done differently. So if you did like a research on previous productions, you can see the range. So let's have the other opinions beside the black box. Like if it is proscenium theater, why it would be, or is it trust maybe theater? I don't know. What do you guys think? Danielle, what do you think?
Well, for me, I said proscenium stage, just because that's what I'm used to. So, and I don't know. So that's like the one I picked.
Yeah, I know, and I can agree with you because proscenium stage give you plenty of options for the quick scene change that are seamless. Because if you remember reading the instructions in the text, it says the scene changes were done with a little bit light so that you can see, so that it's like really faster than if it is in complete darkness. So a proscenium stage gives you more options for the scenic effect, so to speak. But what Haley, and that's a good idea, you can go that way. What Haley was talking about is really related to the direction that you take, and because it's contemporary and you want to have engagement of the audience, to have actors 6 feet away, it's a valid idea and appropriate for the contemporary type of language. So which theater, guys, or what stage marry both of these ideas? The proscenium stage as well as the closeness. That's like a way back in a prehistoric time period when we were started this class. So,
Would this be like Greek?
huh?
Would this be like a Greek theater?
Which one?
A Greek theater?
Greek. Could be like arena. Okay, what is the contemporary version of that?
Oh, the thrust theater?
Excellent, Chantal. Yes, it's a trust stage. So trust stage has a background as the proscenium and has all these possibilities for scenic effect, and had the front, which is an apron that is extended into the audience, and you have like audience position in 3 directions, almost like an arena. So arena would be also working as well. So that is to say that, we have like a range. What do you guys think about site-specific space, like outdoors somewhere, maybe? What do you think of that? What it would be, like if you think about the actual text. I know it's a complicated question, but just try to imagine. I'll give you the example. So this is again reason why the research is important. In one of the productions that are done, I think it's high school. It was done outdoors in a courtyard, so you can set it up like in a high school, where obviously it's like this, architecture of the high school and memory goes. Go into the reality and then to the imaginary world. But everything that was done on stage was done with the objects from the everyday life. So they use like boxes for packaging. Today we have whole many Amazon boxes arriving like daily to the houses and, things like that. So they were used boxes and everyday objects to create magic. So that's a possibility. That's another way of viewing the play. So the question is then, how do we deal with that with the box that we have? Okay, because we build our box, model box, 1/4" scale, and we want to use it for our final. Well, that's super easy, okay? Even if it is some imaginary or actually some site-specific space that you have in mind and you take photos of that, you can still present it on the stage within the confinement of the space using the scale. The only thing you will need to mark how the audience is seated. So the model box that we have can serve as a black box, can serve as a truss stage if you expand a little bit of the front apron, okay? Like, you know, in Japanese theater, they have hanamichi, which is actually this like a pier almost, or the ramp that is going into the audience slightly on the angle where the actors are moving back and forth. So you can extend a little bit front to create that kind of connection to the audience. Or you can just like use it for the site specific, meaning you can arrange within inside of the stage, the staging area. And again, similarly to the black box, decide where the audience is going to be. Does that make sense? Guys, is this clear? So it gives you the range. I mean, and then of course you can stay with a proscenium type of theater because it gives like this other abundance of possibilities for the scene shifts. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your final project. Is that okay, guys? Do you want to go over what I wrote? Do you need to see this, or I can just talk? Would you like to see the document? Yes. Okay. It's posted. So basically, in our this week, we're starting to work on the final. And it will take us 4 or 5 weeks to go through it. Okay. So guys, do you see this? You need to respond because I don't see you for some reason.
Yes.
Okay. You can see it? Okay, good. Okay, so 2 things. One is the final project is presented in digital journal format as well as the oral presentation. Okay, oral presentation is going to be on the 2 last days of classes, and it's going to contain a version of your digital journal that is slightly more condensed, meaning you will have a little bit less slides and images than what you have in the digital journal. What we did so far in the class, it's literally everything that we have. Okay. So everything that we have or had, sorry, so far in this course, we are going to in some way connect and use for our final project. So the first step is what you guys already started doing, which is like reading the play, doing the breakdown of the scenes, answering the questions that are part of the play analysis, and starting a research. However, research needs to be much more elaborate and expanded to the visual research. So you're going to have previous production images, the playwright information. You need to decide, you need to have images of the 90s, 1990s, which the play is set in. Also, it's Ohio, so why is it Ohio? Is there something specific to it, to its culture? And then some images related to the pop culture. And I would recommend to look at the movies or look at the research some TV shows of that period that are dealing with the same period, because that would be a great guideline or a great resource for you to actually enhance your research. Okay. And then looking, in Dungeons and Dragons, the iconography or the characters like elves and, all the other characters that are showing into the play or that are shown in the play, and connect to them. The furniture of that time period, and, like a middle-class family. But then we have student dorms, we have high school, things like that. So connect to some images that you can find from the 1990s that are presenting high schools and college, and like a dorm room or bedroom, things like that. The props are really important in this production. So the research on some of the fantasy characters and what you can relate them to, to any kind of connection to the art, or some like children books, or what was the book where the monster lives or something like that. So in any case, just plentiful of visual research. Then set design mood board. You guys did that already, and you know how to do it. You have to, on one page, present selected images that represent the world of the play. But you have to have images that are presenting both worlds, so reality and fantasy. So they're juxtaposed to each other, okay? So you have to be selective with that, because it's just like one mood board. But it has to be like, what is your gut feeling when you read the play? Like, this is like what we were sharing today a little bit, but you want to look into that on the visual end. Concept is one paragraph. You did it for Hamlet, or actually directors did it, but it's really your vision that addresses the theme of the play, the year that is done, and really conceptually, what is that you're going to present as the most appealing or interesting, including, who is your audience. Play analysis questions and answers that you had to do by today that can help you to understand how to deal with the concept, or what is that is most intriguing, because you need to look at the themes of the play. Okay, so then the scene breakdown. You guys, I assume you by now you know how to do it. The scale floor plan. Okay. Initially, you can do it for the stage that you have, so which means you have to draw the floor plan, and you can then play with the ideas depending on what scenes did you choose to do. So I'll leave it up to you to choose two scenes, two scene changes that happen that you see as major, and address the real world and address the fantasy world. And so how that would work in the space. Do you have walls? Do the walls open up and reveal something behind it? Do you have like a scaffolding? So it's something to think about creatively. But first you have to choose two scenes that you feel strongly about, and how each of these can transform in something different. Okay, so that will be presented in the floor plan. And you see in the productions, you always have preliminary plans, which means where you have a discussion with director. And in this case, I'm going to be your director / producer. So you will need to discuss with me your ideas. Okay, for that reason, I'm actually in the announcement, I gave you these dates just for this week. Wednesday, 9:30 till 11, or Friday, 11 till 2, for 10 minutes, like really fast meeting sharing. Please send me beforehand, like your ideas, and so that I can help you make the transition or change happen, and help you with the development of your project. So does that make sense, you guys? Say something because I don't see you.
Yes.
Do you have any questions so far? Is this clear? Hello? Hello?
So the individual due dates are in that email that you sent then?
It's all in here, okay? The individual meetings this is like you have to sign up with me and then we'll meet, okay? So it's Wednesday and Friday this week. And then we can expand that like in the weeks to come. Because I will need to help you with the projects individually, because each of you will do the different scenes, and you might have to deal with things that you're not so sure about, and I just need to help you with that. Does that make sense? So you sign up this week to help you with the beginning of the project, and then we'll gradually have actually more meetings the following weeks that you need to sign up for. Okay, as much time as you need from me, we'll see how the projects are evolving. Okay, so floor plan is basically the floor plan together with the white model that you guys did successfully. Those two work like hand in hand. They're really supportive of each other. I always work on a floor plan and then have a paper and kind of rip and set it in a space to see how does it work with my character standing in the front, and then finding like what I can do with that or not. So the next parallel to the floor plan, it's the white model. However, with the white model, I mean, you can initially really improvise with just like, the regular printing paper to see what's happening, to see the scale and just, the composition. But my advice would be to actually create a very good at the end of this process. I mean, not at the end, but middle of this process. A really good white model, sturdy and done from the like say cold press cardboard or Bristol board or the foam core. Foam core is a little bit harder to paint if you want to paint it, but we'll talk more about that. So we're going to move in stages. So the first stage is really like a floor plans for two scenes, and then the white model for two scenes. Then we will have 2 weeks to build the full color model with all the props, the masking, the floor, all of that that we talk about, but we did not do it in the full color. And you have a link to a really great resource that at least you can see the beginning of it, which is here, the link at the bottom, the Handbook of Model Making for Set Designers. If you're interested in more detailed information, you can order the book. It's ebook, so it's not that expensive. It's really great resource. Otherwise, I will be your resource and helping you with the projects project development. So the next stage is again building the color model and fully evolved like the furniture pieces. And you can go or whatever prop pieces, like have a rock or you have like a tree or I don't know, but you can order from the model making stores like a 1/4 inch scale, like little furniture or objects. If you want to go that way, that's okay. Once when we finish the color model, we'll do the orthogonal projection of one of the props not really the whole like all the walls or whatever, but we'll do just one selected prop. And I need to discuss with you individually to help you with that. And the front elevation for 2 scenes, that is really easy. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Really easy. I mean, it takes like about, half an hour to do the front elevation. So in addition to that, you have an options to choose from to be able to create the whole world and understanding of the play. The characters and the lights are really great contributors. And to think of the scenographer, as a scenographer, you will need to actually decide on whether you want to do mood board for lights or you want to do mood board for costumes. And this is again what was done for the Hamlet production. So it's not so much of the high detail work, but it's just like really brief connection to the colors, texture, silhouette through those either or lighter or costumes, whatever you feel it's easier for you. Some of you did the lights already, so maybe you want to do it as a light mood board or as a costume. It's up to you. Okay, so the final presentation then is 5 minutes long with 15 slides. We are taking the Pecha Kucha format to the next level, or actually using this idea to create a shorter presentation for 5 minutes with less slides. And you have the list of what needs to be in the slides. It's really a well-presented concept with the images that are connected to the visual research, with the mood boards, the view or different angles of the scene changes, and just aha moment at the end of that. But it's listed with the floor plan as well. So the presentation is really your final, and in our like a class listing, it looks like we can finish the finals before the Thanksgiving, but I don't think we have enough time. So for that, the presentation are going to be 8 students per class, or less, 7 and 7, depends, how many of you are in the class. And one is going to be on November 23rd, the other will be on November 30th. So that way, when we do our final presentations, we are just going to have one last meeting for our final, so to speak, to kind of debrief and have a discussion a little bit about the class. So you won't need to do more after that. How does this sound, guys?
That sounds good.
I need responses. So below is the process. So you have a deadlines or dates or what is happening throughout the week, okay? And what the expectations are that you're going to turn to me. In case that you feel like super comfortable with what you're doing, you can send it to me without individual meetings. However, expect the response from me and expect that there might be changes. So in a way, I think it's better if we're going through that as you're progressing, instead of waiting for you to fully finish something. Okay, does that make sense? Tools and supplies are what we already had used so far, and we have it. We can have additional supplies, and we'll talk about that when we get to the model making. I don't want to burden you right now, but I gave you some tips here, like walls, platforms, stairs, what they're made of, how furniture, what can be built or what it is made of, what kind of glue to use. We talk about the fabric, that it needs to be either paper or paper towel or tissue paper. Tissue paper is really great because it's thin and it has like multicolors. Scaffoldings are really hard to build unless you already have soldering skills. I cannot really expect you to develop that in a very short time, unless you have a real interest. Then I can help you with that. Scaffoldings are good because they can have a multiple, like really fast scenes and multiple changes, but also you can use the different level platforms. So there is a possibility that you might use a very thin, even like a skewers sticks, or sticks that can be inserted or glued on the top of the cardboard or the foam core to create a sense of the higher platform. That is if you want to go that direction, okay? And then there's a grading, and look at the grading, because it really gives you like the sense of the points versus what needs to get done. So, how much of effort you really need to put in things, okay? So how are you guys doing? Any questions? Questions, please? Concerns? Bless you, Elisa.
Thank you.
So guys, was this too fast? I mean, are you following me? Everybody is clear. I have to say, in the same way that you guys talk about the play and how you actually got, in a way, hooked on it because there's something that you can connect to. I hope that creating like a dollhouse of the play could be really fun. And using your imagination and what is that you want to depict and how. And I'm here really as your resource to help you build that and develop it. It's really important that we have conversations and to help you out excel with your projects, because that's the best way to learn. We have literally a month to develop all of this, which is a lot of time. We have 2 weeks for the final model, if you look at the deadlines. So it's pretty much like what a designer would have in the real life to develop, like how much time for the design, set design, except there will be a little bit more of the drafting, like orthogonal projections or every single object. There will be painting elevations and things like that, which I don't think that you guys really want to be doing that. This is really an introductory class. So I'm giving you the tools and, getting to really address everything that we learned so far and put it in a different format of your creativity. Okay? So questions, guys? No? Anything that worries you?
Just like minor question. Do you care if we use the young adult version or the original?
It's really up to you. They're not different in the sense of the structure. They're just different as in a language. Okay? So it's really up to you guys, whichever route you want to go. If you're depicting the language, if it's harsher, what does that mean? Are they going to have some like stronger angles visually? That could be the case. Or, colors or in depiction of the character maybe. But it's really not, in terms of this overall structure, it's not that relevant, okay? So whichever way you want to go. Okay, other questions? Or concerns? Or anything? I don't know what to say. I'm speechless too. It's like I'm in this like box. Okay, so I just want to share a couple of minutes before we finish. If you look at the designs behind me, so you can see like here on the, that it is like this one, okay? That's the white model. And you can see the high level of details, how the white model is done. You can see that the bookshelf is made of the balsa wood, but everything else was made from the cardboard, so it's like really sturdy. But then when you look at the top, like top of the walls, it's like a crown molding and the little molding underneath, which is all done as selective realism. There's like even the house in the background, like the attic on the top, like just as a flat. So it's important to understand that the high level of details are going to make your model look really fantastic. Okay, the one at the bottom, this one. Okay, this is a white model, and it's very much like what we did in this class with some of the line drawings, and it has actually a bought furniture that is 2/4 inch scale. Then here you have the painted model, okay? And you can use any type of like acrylic, tempera, poster board paint, gouache, anything that can actually go onto the surface. See, that one, that model was also done as a white model, which is very heavy weight, and then painted over. However, it's sometimes it's easier if you print on your printer just the image of the color and texture that can fit well with your concept, so you don't need to paint. But the painting is really good because it gives you possibility to age the objects and make it look a little bit darker. So depending on your skill level and interest, I can help you to go either way. Okay. So any other questions? No? Well, I hope you guys will sign up for meetings and think about your ideas, like the 2 scenes and how you want spatially to arrange it. Okay? I'll see you next Monday, or I'll see you individually. And thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.